Okay, so if you're watching this video, this definitely means that Barry McConkener and Urinating Tree had a down week in viewership on YouTube. Okay, so I'm Luke, and
I am Tommy.
And I guess for our first thing we're going to do a quarterback tier list of the 2023-2024 NFL season.
That's right, folks. We're going to be ranking every quarterback, starting quarterbacks only. We're not going to go into all the backups that played this year because there were a historic amount of backups that played this year. We're just going to be centering in on the starting quarterbacks for each team. If they didn't play this year, we'll look at their career as a whole. We're also going to be looking at everyone else's career as a whole, but some people just didn't get the chance to play this year like others did.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is there's going to be actually two tier lists. Tommy's going to be making his own, and I'm going to be making my own. And at the end, we're going to kind of compare and contrast and see what these tier lists look like in comparison. Because Tommy and I generally have similar takes, but sometimes our takes vary a lot.
How can you throw 18 interceptions and be an S tier?
It's already getting controversial. So we're going to start off. We'll let Tommy start off with each one. So we're going to start with the NFC first, and we're going to move clockwise. So we're going to hit NFC North, NFC East, NFC South, and then NFC West, and then we're going to do the same thing with the AFC. So up first, we got Jordan Love.
Okay, so I think Jordan.
Hold the mic.
I think Jordan Love, he's deserving of a B tier. He is a first-year starter, and he also did have a very, very rough start to the season. But I do believe that he has made up for it greatly in the past several weeks. You know, he's got one of the lowest touchdown-interception ratios over the past 10 games, and he also did knock the hell out of my Cowboys in the wild card round as a surprise to quite literally everybody. So I think he's deserving of B tier, despite the fact that he's basically, even though he's not a rookie, he is a first-year starter. This is his rookie season. I believe he is very much deserving of B tier.
Okay, so for me, I'm actually going to put I know he isn't a first-year quarterback, but, I mean, we could basically consider this his rookie year, I mean, despite the fact he sat behind Rodgers for so long. But I'm going to put, actually, Jordan Love in, I'm going to put him in B tier too. I was thinking about A, but, I mean, his first 3 games he started off, he had a really good touchdown-interception ratio, and then he kind of fell off in the middle of the season there. But at the same time, he really did have an incredible last 8 weeks. So what was it like going into the NFC, not the NFC Championship? I hope not. The NFC wild card. His touchdown to interception ratio for
8-1, I believe.
I thought it was 16-2 or something. But I mean, I think next year I will be putting him in A tier or S tier, but I just can't put him higher.
The only reason I think he doesn't deserve an A tier or an S tier is because he's unproven in these high stakes situations. I mean, he did amazing in the wild card round. It was one of the best performances in Packers history, at the expense of my Cowboys, and we'll see how we're feeling after he takes on San Francisco 49ers in the the NFL divisional round in Santa Clara. It's a very hostile environment, especially for the Packers. So we'll see how he does there. And then if the NFC Championship, if he, God forbid, makes it there, we'll take it from there, see how he does. I think he's a very good quarterback with a bright future.
I agree. All right. Moving on to the man himself, Jared Goff. Just take the microphone.
Jared Goff is an interesting person because sometimes he will come out and he will play lights out. He'll throw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions for 300 yards. And then other times he'll come out and he'll throw no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So it's really hit or miss. And I'll tell you what, Jared Goff is a very good quarterback whenever he has protection. But when he is pressured, he is not very good. So I don't like his chances against the Bucs this week because the Bucs are very heavy on the blitz, and Jared Goff doesn't perform too well against the blitz. I'm going to put Jared Goff in B tier because his team did really well this year, but I do feel like they could have done well this year without him. But he definitely was very solid this year. He is deserving of at least B tier. I wouldn't put him near C tier. He's a lot closer to A tier than he is to C tier. Jared Goff is a good quarterback. He just has some very big problems when it comes to being pressured.
All right, then moving on to my take. I'm just going to straight up say I think Jared Goff is an A-tier quarterback. I mean, he's just been getting better every single year under the Dan Campbell administration. This is his third year with them. They had like 2 wins his first year there, and then they almost made the wild card last year, and just robbed the Packers because why not? But I mean, that 30 touchdowns to 12 interceptions with a passer rating of 98 is just that's just solid quarterback play, nearly 70% completion rate. Yeah, I mean, I'd say Jared Goff is definitely an A-tier quarterback, but he's not quite at that upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL, I would say. But definitely a solid quarterback, definitely a playoff quarterback. So Fields.
All right, so next we're going to be taking a look at Justin Fields. For me, Justin Fields is going to go into C tier, and there's a reason why. Even though he played very, very well down the stretch this season, he's had a very rough career at this point. From this point, he started off his career winning. I want to say, don't quote me on this. I want to say 5 games, and then the next year he won. I want to say 5 games again, and this year. Did a lot better, nearly ended up 500, but once again, missing the playoffs narrowly by about a game or 2. So he belongs in C tier. I think that Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback in Chicago next year. I feel like paying him and then going to draft a receiver or even trading away the pick for more capital would be a solid move. They could go pick up Marvin Harrison first overall, pair the 2 up. I think that would be it would be a gamble for sure because they'd have to pay Fields, but it would pay off for them. I think
DJ Moore too.
Yeah, DJ Moore. I mean, DJ Moore had a great year, and Justin Fields is a lot to thank for that.
I mean, it's all right.
I think Justin Fields is a C tier. And hopefully Chicago keeps him around. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's obviously very good on the ground. Pat through the air, it's a little bit more questionable, but I think he's capable of making his way up into B tier, maybe A tier in the near future.
All right, so Justin Fields, I'm gonna be straight up. I'm gonna put him in D tier. There are like very few quarterbacks in the National Football League that I will like. Not always, but it seems like I'll always be a low-key hater of, and that man is Justin Fields. He's just like perpetuated into the Ohio State quarterback norm of just coming to the NFL and just sucking. Besides C.J. Stroud, which we're going to get to that, he broke that mold. And I mean, through his first 3 years, he's just been abysmal when it comes to the passing game. I mean, some of these reads he was making even earlier in this season were just absolutely terrible. And in my opinion, Justin Fields is definitely a D tier quarterback. The one thing that's not putting him into F is the fact that he is young and he's shown so many great flashes. Like when he ran for 200 yards against the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, he holds the record for the most rushing yards for a quarterback in a single game.
Yeah, like I said, he has potential, and I mean next year I could definitely see him being up there with like Jared Goff, maybe even Jordan Love, in my opinion, because he has DJ Moore. They have the first overall pick, and I don't think they're going to trade him away. And if they get Marvin Harrison Jr., you combine that with DJ Moore, I think he'll have like a Josh Allen like breakout season. Like all he needs is just that great receiver to help him break out and get him a better offensive line with that 10th overall pick too, or trade that away and get even more tools for him to use or to help him out on defense. I think the Bears could possibly have a wild card spot next year, but I think just off what I've seen from Justin Fields, he's a D tier quarterback, and I can't say I'm a fan at all of Justin Fields. So we got Cousins next.
All right. Okay, so this season, Kirk Cousins' season was cut short due to an Achilles rupture. Very unfortunate, but I do believe that Kirk Cousins is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He has consistently put up fantastic numbers his entire career, except for on Monday nights, of course, but you already know about that.
Kirk.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins has consistently put up great numbers, and the problem is that he doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. He's never been to the Super Bowl. He's only ever won one playoff game, and he's just been relatively mediocre throughout his career until you look at his numbers. And I believe that this year really was the year that he was going to actually, separate himself from the C tier up into even A tier, skipping B entirely. But unfortunately, he ruptured his Achilles, and you had to have Josh Dobbs and Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins. They had to come in. And mess things up. But
Where are you putting him?
Kirk Cousins is going to have to go in C tier just because he deserves to be higher. He does, but he didn't get a chance to get over that hump, and he still has such little to show for it in his career. It's a very, very long career. Hopefully, he's got a lot more game left in him, and I'd like to see him back in Minnesota. Hopefully, with everything this year with Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall and Josh Dobbs, they understand how badly they need Kirk in Minnesota, and I think that they will keep him after everything is said and done.
Hope so.
But Kirk Cousins is criminally underrated. I have to put him at C just because he didn't get a chance to play the whole season. And this was the year, man. This was the year that Kirk Cousins was going to prove himself to be one of the top guys in the NFL.
Based off how Tommy just ranked Kirk Cousins, you'd think that he hates him. But with the C tier vote, and I can't.
Don't hate Kirk Cousins.
You don't hate Kirk Cousins. I'm gonna put Kirk Cousins in A tier, in my opinion, based off his work alone. Like, I know his season got cut short, but before he went down with that Achilles injury, he was on pace for something crazy, like 6,000 yards and 50 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions based off projected, and what Justin Jefferson was on pace when he was still healthy to have 2,400 yards or something. So that just shows you the level of play Kirk Cousins can play at. And I mean, even throughout his whole career, like Tommy said, the solid numbers he's just put up. And I really think it's a shame what happened to Kirk Cousins. I honestly think that if they had a healthy Kirk Cousins, they possibly could have won the division. I mean, I know there was plenty of injuries, with Justin Jefferson the whole year with that hamstring that really held them back. But by having 3 backup quarterbacks, the Vikings really did not have that bad of a season. They did have a little bit of a slow start, but I wouldn't put that on Kirk Cousins at all. And for that reason, I'm giving Kirk Cousins A tier.
After listening to everything that you said, I am going to actually go back and put Kirk Cousins 1 tier up into B.
B tier?
Yeah, he doesn't deserve to be in C.
You going to put him in a high B above Goff and Love, or?
Put him in between the two.
In between?
I think Jordan Love was better this year than Goff was in the stretch of the season. Down the stretch, I think Jordan Love was better than Kirk Cousins has been throughout the entirety of his career as a whole. And Jordan Love really only has this year to talk about. So
That's solid. That's solid. Okay, now we're going to move on to the NFC East. We're starting with the Cowboys, so let the Tommy glazing begin. They're deservedly so.
All right, so before I even start, Dak Prescott's going in the A tier, and there's only one thing keeping him out of that S tier, and you already know what it is. It's playoff success. Dak Prescott is absolutely abysmal in the playoffs, and he's got some of the worst playoff stats I've ever seen. 3-5. The Packers, they have just as many playoff wins in AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys do. And a lot of it comes down to Dak. Of course, not all of it. But, yeah, long story short, Dak cannot show up in the playoffs, and I don't believe that he will next year. I have no reason to. There's no precedent for it. However, in the regular season, he is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. He led the league in touchdowns. He only
Passing touchdowns.
Yeah, passing touchdowns. And he only had 9 interceptions. He was the only quarterback in the NFL with more than 30 touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions. And the connection with CD was something that we had never seen before. And even the Cowboys, they've had some of the best receiver quarterback duos of all time, whether it be Drew Pearson and Roger Staubach, or Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman, or even Tony Romo and Keyshawn for the 2 years that they were together. But and Des Bryant, of course, with also Tony Romo and Dak. But Dak Prescott, he's a great regular season quarterback, and with Mike McCarthy as head coach, they will be 12-5 every single year, it seems. But until they show me some playoff success, he's not getting an S tier from me. I'm sorry. Love you, Dak, but you're a choker.
Okay. I think in my opinion, what Tommy said was absolutely true. I'm also going to put Dak in the A tier. I'm going to put him under Goff and Cousins simply from what Tommy said. I mean, he had a great season. He really improved from the past couple of years. And like he said when the season started, I'm not throwing more than 10 interceptions. And that was kind of a big problem for him last year.
With the thumb injury.
And his interception problem for the past couple of years. And he really improved on that. He was top 3 in passing yards this year, led the league in passing touchdowns, and was the MVP, one of the MVP frontrunners for basically the first 16 weeks of the season there.
He still could be. That's a regular season award.
Yeah, I mean, he still could. I mean, I think we're all convinced it's going to be Lamar by now. But, I think Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback that just cannot perform in big moments. Whether that's him or McCarthy, McCarthy's coaching still, I can only put him in A tier because if he was truly an S tier quarterback, he would elevate above poor coaching. Maybe it's him and McCarthy. But, yeah, for that reason, I'm putting Dak in A tier, not quite the S tier. So next we're going to do Jalen Hurts, another hot take.
All right, guys. I don't hate Jalen Hurts. I think I think it's really goofy how he talks in Instagram captions. But I'll tell you what, I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good of a quarterback. If you take away A.J. Brown, and we already saw if you take away A.J. Brown, he regresses significantly in that playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you take away both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and you make him work with Olamide Zaccheaus and Julio Jones.
Oh, please, everyone would be ass in that situation.
Okay. Good quarterbacks can work with anybody. Okay, if you gave him average receivers, still good, but average, like Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, so the Colts receivers, those are good receivers. I don't think Jalen Hurts would be very good at all. He certainly is good on the ground, although he has taken a step back. He's got a knee injury, so I'll give him a little bit of flack there. But I feel like if you took away what makes Jalen Hurts great, then which is his receivers, it's not him, he's a system quarterback, then he really wouldn't be all that impressive. And also, people talk about his rushing touchdowns. Pardon my French, but piss off. They were all at the 1-yard line. I don't want to hear about it. So that's how I feel about Jalen Hurts. He's going in C tier, and he doesn't deserve anything better than that. I hope he stays in Philadelphia for a very long time.
I'm gonna put Jalen Hurts in. I'm gonna put Jalen Hurts in B tier. Like Tommy said, that had to have been the goofiest, wackiest, record-setting touchdown, record in NFL history. 15 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback. And I got one thing to say. I used to listen to it a lot as a kid. MICKEYMOUSC. That was the biggest Mickey Mouse rushing touchdown season of all time. Like, Josh Allen had what he also set the record along with Hurts, right?
It was a tied record, 15 each.
But Josh Allen actually runs the ball like a man. He doesn't get his butt touched by a Hall of Fame center every single time he runs the ball. I'm not a big Jalen Hurts fan. In fact, I'm not an Eagles fan. I think those are up there with the most toxic fans in the entire league.
They are the worst fan base in the NFL.
Other than Adam and Gavin, they're valid Cowboys fans. But for the most part, Jalen Hurts did regress a lot this year. People at some points were saying he was in the MVP conversation, and I was just absolutely kind of taken back by that. Yeah, Hurts had only 23 passing touchdowns, and on top of that, he had 15 interceptions. That's just not a good ratio whatsoever, and he didn't even break 4,000 yards passing.
I didn't even mention the turnovers.
Yeah, the turnovers were crazy, but yeah, I'm putting But I'm putting Jalen Hurts in B tier because he still did take his team to a Super Bowl last year, and he still did get him in the playoffs, despite one of the most historic conference or division choke jobs in history, right behind the Jaguars this year. But yeah, Jalen Hurts is B tier for me, based off his past performance. But he did have an abysmal year. So next, we're moving on to the Giants. I guess I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Well, I guess we're just gonna talk about Daniel Jones because he's their guy. He has to be their guy. They paid him all that money, and well, now they're stuck with him. I mean, they've seen Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito come in and do significantly better than he did this year, but they paid Daniel Jones. They got to keep him. It's quite an unfortunate situation. I feel kind of bad for Giants fans. No, I don't, but. Daniel Jones is a little bit underrated, I feel like, because of how bad he was this year. But the man has legs. He is one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL. He may be clumsy and he may be a little bit dumb, but he had a great year last year, and a lot of people are forgetting that because of how bad he was this year. But listen, he had no offensive line this year. And I think if you gave him a little, I don't even remember how many it was, but he got sacked, I believe, 9 times.
Yeah, but I guess the Cowboys in week 1.
No, the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
The Chargers in week 4. Yeah,
Khalil Mack had 4 sacks.
Yeah, the Cowboys, they beat him to hell in week 1, 40-0. But, Daniel Jones, he had a great year last year on the ground, through the air, with dog shit receivers. Sorry for the French. You talk about, you take away Jalen Hurts' weapons, he'll be terrible.
Weapons, he's Daniel Jones.
No, Daniel Jones had terrible weapons and he made it work. He won a playoff game. So I'm gonna put Daniel Jones in C tier. A lot of people would put him in D and F. I actually don't agree with that. I think that Daniel Jones he's decent. He's not good, but he's not terrible. I think that Daniel Jones is a solid option. He's definitely not worth $45 million a year, but he's solid. I don't have anything against Daniel Jones. I think that he's better than Jalen Hurts, if you ask me. But, Daniel Jones, he'll be better once he gets an O-line.
It's pretty good takes. I'm going to put Daniel Jones. I don't have anyone in C tier yet, but I feel like the things I have to say about Daniel Jones, are definitely within the D tier. So I might change this later, but I'm putting Daniel Jones in D tier. I mean, I know he, like Tommy said, he does have an abysmal offensive line. But, I mean, just from what he saw out of him this season, it was absolutely, nothing. Like we said, all we saw him do was get absolutely just hammered by the Chargers and all those sacks.
Missed 2 games, and then tore his ACL.
That was the Chargers. That was early, right?
I believe he made it one more game, and then he got concussed.
Okay.
And then tore his ACL against the Commanders, I want to say.
Yeah, and then the Cowboys were just eating his lunch, bro. 40-0. What rank you put him in, C? Yeah. I think a C quarterback would definitely perform better in that situation. And he had 900 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Through more than 3 games, that is absolutely terrible. What was his QBR? Hold on, let me check this dude's QBR. QBR was 26.9.
Yeah,
this dude he had a really bad year, and I think partially the way they got that far last year and won that wild card against the Vikings last year was a part of Brian Daboll, Coach of the Year, Hall of Fame, Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. I miss you, Brian Daboll. You left us with Ken Dorsey to suffer. But, yeah, I got to put Daniel Jones in D tier. Who do the Giants think this guy is, giving him $45 million a year?
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
And off his performances, he's just an absolute, watered-down Josh Allen with a little less turnovers. I'm putting him in D tier. I don't think Daniel Jones is really anything special, and he's certainly not $45 million a year.
No, definitely not.
And next, Sam Howell.
You'd be surprised by how little I have to say about Sam Howell. D tier. Moving on.
Okay. Sam Howell, for his second year, I think showed a lot of really good flashes. Like, for instance, we look at his stats against the Cowboys. He in those 2 games he had in these divisional matchups, he had like 700 yards, like 8 touchdowns, and like 1 interception. Like, I know it's an absolute cooked secondary with Eagles with like James Bradbury, but he's shown some like crazy flashes. And if any of you guys played fantasy this year,
You're talking about against the Eagles, right?
Against the Eagles, yeah.
Yeah.
And if any of you guys played fantasy this year, you'd know that Sam Howell was picked up off waivers really early in the season, and I even started him in a couple of my leagues because he would just put up crazy yards and he would get a good amount of touchdowns. Like he had a solid number of rushing touchdowns too for a quarterback. And I think in his second year he has shown some really good flashes, and and almost 4,000 yards. He definitely needs to get the interception issue down a little bit. He was looking a little bit like Jameis Winston out there this year, 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. But I think Sam Howell showed some really great flashes, and for that reason, he's going to be the first person I enter into C tier. I think Sam Howell definitely has potential, and the Commanders should stick with him. And then moving on to the NFC South with Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ridder's got to be the most terrible, god-awful quarterback I've ever seen play football. Now, I will give him a very small benefit of the doubt because he was dealing with Arthur Smith all year, and he is he really does not like to use his best players, I'll tell you that. So we'll put Desmond Ridder in F tier. He doesn't quite belong in Mac Jones, but Desmond Ridder is very bad. Very, very bad. Let's look at his stats here. He had 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and only it's not terrible. 2,836. It's pretty bad, but there's certainly guys who had worse.
Anyway, just stick with Desmond Ridder.
All right, I'll stick to Desmond Ridder for now. Desmond Ridder, he had a terrible year. Every time they had a situation to pull ahead in the end, he choked, and he got benched for Taylor Heineke at least 3 times, and he probably should have stayed benched for Taylor Heineke the whole time. I'm not a big Desmond Ridder fan. He is not deserving of an NFL starting job. A backup role, maybe, but he's not very good. I'm putting him in F tier, the first quarterback on my list to go to F tier.
Yeah, I mean, with Desmond Ridder, it's almost like when you pick a quarterback in the second round that you don't even plan on starting the next year, it's almost like he plays terrible. I mean, they knew their guy last year was going to be Mariota, okay, and they draft Desmond Ridder, and they somehow don't pick up a quarterback in free agency, and they don't draft a quarterback, and they keep Arthur Smith. I say legit everything that happened to the Falcons was all on them, like not very good management by the team. And I really think if the Falcons were smart before the season, they could have won the division. I 100% think so, bro. They did have the talent. They had so much young talent. They had Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and then on the defensive side of the ball, they had some great guys like AJ Terrell. They picked up Jesse Bates. They're a young, talented team that I think really could have won the division if it wasn't for Desmond Ridder. I agree with Tommy. I'm gonna put Desmond Ridder in F tier. Like he never should have started in the NFL in the first place, in my opinion. And like I said, that line of 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I know he didn't play the whole season. Heineke started a couple of games above him. Yeah, I mean he played the whole season. Didn't even break 3,000 yards. Passer rating of 35. My guy. Wait, no, that's. Sorry, a quarterback rating of 80. Okay, a 3.4. That's not the best. No, I don't think he ever should have started in the NFL. I'm gonna stick Desmond Ridder in F tier, and that's that. That's all I got to say about that. Then we got Derek Carr next. Yeah, Derek Carr.
All right, Derek Carr. I'm a Derek Carr fan. Derek Carr. He had a very inconsistent year. One year he'll come in, he'll play lights out, no interceptions, and They'll win by, like, the last game of the season when both teams were trying to play for a potential playoff spot. He put up 41. That was the score, right? 41? It might have been even 48.
It was high scoring, I know.
Yeah. Derek Carr played really well in that game. Played very well in a lot of games this year. But he had some bad games that were almost worthy of benching him. He had a problem with getting very angry with his receivers when he would miss throws.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't understand what the problem was, but Derek Carr, he had a good career in Oakland and Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. But I think he's probably coming down towards the end of his time. He had a very mediocre year. He's going in C tier, I'll tell you that right now. I don't have a whole. Yeah, put him below Hurts. Hurts is probably better than Derek Carr.
Okay.
Derek Carr, I don't have a whole lot to say about him because he had such a mediocre year where 1 week he was terrible, 1 week he was really good, and that's kind of the Saints formula. That's how they've been for pretty much since they won the Super Bowl. They are very good 1 week, very bad the next, and there's really no consistency about it whatsoever. They were really good towards Drew Brees' last few years when they would make the playoffs and then lose in the most heartbreaking fashions you'll ever see.
Sideline touchdown.
Yeah.
Diggs.
Yep.
Diggs,
and then
sideline touchdown.
And then the missed pass interference call on the Rams. But you know what? Ever since they lost Drew Brees, they've been even more mediocre. And I don't know where they're going to go from here. They're probably not going to keep Derek Carr, I'd have to say. But I thought he did okay this year. Not good, but not as bad as a lot of people say. He had some terrible games, but he also had some good games. So they finished out 9-8, right? 8-9, 9-8, 8-9. Yeah, that about sums up Derek Carr's season and Derek Carr's career. He's very average and he's very unexciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're not even halfway through this, but you're going for 32 minutes, bro. I got to pick up the pace a little bit here. So Derek Carr, I'm sticking Derek Carr in B tier. Derek Carr had a pretty solid season. He had 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a little under 4,000 passing yards. I think Derek Carr is a solid quarterback. He kind of reminds me of Kirk Cousins in a way, where like he's been a solid starter for all these years, but he always kind of.
Kirk Cousins is way better than Derek Carr.
I agree, but he's kind of similar though. Like he never really performs in big situations, never really wins anything. No, I don't think he has either. But yeah, I give Derek Carr middle of B tier. I'll put him above Hurts, below Love. So next we're gonna go on to Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence is pretty solid. He started off the year really, really solid. They were 9-3 at one point before laying an egg to the 49ers.
8-3, yeah.
8-3, yeah. And before they laid an absolute donut to the 49ers. And ever since then, he had been dealing with injuries down the stretch, and it was never really the same. If he was playing, he wasn't playing healthy. And he also had not the best touchdown to interception ratio at 21 and 14. I think he did okay, and I do think that he still has a lot of potential to be a very elite quarterback in the future. But I just think this year was the year that a lot of us expected him to break through and become a true elite. Especially after that playoff win last year against the Chargers, where he came back from a 27-0 or 27-0 comeback. But this year proved that this is not the year that he became elite. I think he still has potential to get there, but he's not there yet. He's going to go in B tier with a very, very bright future, more likely than not.
All right, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is another one of those quarterbacks I said I have very select few quarterbacks I am a big hater of, and the second member of that group is Trevor Lawrence. Do you remember when everyone was calling Trevor Lawrence a generational prospect? Like I swear every year there's a generational prospect, and Trevor Lawrence was that, but he wasn't that. And he's shown some flashes, I guess. I mean, he had a pretty solid season, 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. But then, as Tommy said, proceeded to have the biggest choke job in like AFC South division history. Started out 8-3. What was it?
They were
9-8. That is actually just crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't all him. CJ Beathard started some of those games, and when Trevor did play, he was injured. You got to take that into account.
Yeah, I'm still putting T-Law at C tier. I think he is better than the Daniel Jones and the Justin Fields of the league, and he's still super young. I mean, he's younger than Kenny Pickett, and he was drafted before Kenny Pickett. He definitely has potential, but based off what I've seen so far in his career, and everyone absolutely glazing him, calling him, the future like of the NFL, blah blah, generational prospect. I highly disagree with that. What, Tommy?
That's not the right team.
Oh yeah, why are we talking about Trevor Lawrence already? Whoops. Okay, anyway, it's fine.
We're gonna leave it. But
we're gonna leave it. That was AFC South. Okay. Well, I guess Trevor Lawrence got roasted by me earlier. Okay. Bryce Young now.
I could come out here and I could say that Bryce Young is terrible. I could say that Bryce Young is a bust. I could say that Bryce Young will never be a good quarterback. But I'm not going to do that because he had one of the worst teams in the league to deal with. Actually, the worst team in the league to deal with. He had no offensive line. His best receiver was DJ Chark and an aging Adam Thielen, 33 years old. I think if you put Bryce Young on a better team, I think he'd do okay. But, I'm given a very small sample size. I got to put him in the Mac Jones tier because he just has not had a chance to do anything in his career yet. He's got a lot of talent and he's got a lot of potential, but he has not reached that potential. You cannot say he has after a 2-15 season. But, the talent is there. He's very small. He's only 5'10".
They say he's 5'11". He's probably 5'10".
Yeah, he's 5'10".
He's 5'11" in a booster seat in cleats, bro.
He's 5'10", skinny as a twig, and I don't know that he can be great, but, you saw him in college. He's definitely capable of greatness, and I think it's worth giving him the benefit of the doubt to let him reach that. But based on the sample size I have, that is the 2023 season, he was terrible, and so was his team. He goes in the Mac Jones tier.
All right. I think that was pretty harsh by Tommy, sticking him in the Mac Jones tier. I mean, like Tommy said, there is such a small sample size, but I mean, I gotta give him a little bit of grace here. Like, I know, like you said, he was put on a terrible team. His best receiver was Adam Thielen and DJ Chark, and he had to deal with the whole Frank Reich situation. And there just isn't a big enough sample size. And I 100% agree with Tommy and everyone else when saying, I know Kyler Murray exists, but I don't understand how, like, Bryce Young could be a good quarterback in the NFL. Like, I hope he proves me wrong and turns into a really good first overall pick. But, I mean, off a small sample size, I got to stick him at the very bottom of C tier just because we really don't know anything about him despite his abysmal season with an abysmal, team in an abysmal division. So, I mean, 2-15 is pretty bad, though. But still, I'm gonna stick him in C tier. So.
Next?
Moving on to NFC West, starting out with Brock Purdy, the Kyle Shanahan merchant.
Mr. Irrelevant. Brock Purdy is basically the human embodiment of the jackpot lottery. I mean, think about it. They got him last overall in the 2022 draft, and he's pretty much better than everybody else in the NFC. I mean, you could argue Dak Prescott's better, but the 49ers-Cowboys game would tell you otherwise. You could argue that I really don't have anybody else in the NFC that would be better than him, honestly. Brock Purdy he's my first quarterback to go into S tier. And yes, Yes, he is in probably the easiest system for a quarterback to prevail, but that is still a 7th-round pick, and he's living in a basically a 3-room apartment with some of his teammates, and he's gonna take his team most likely to the Super Bowl. So, in all honesty, I can't put him anywhere else because this man has overcome all the odds. In his first year in the NFL, he took his team to the NFC Championship, and you and I both know he would have won that NFC Championship game had he not blown out his elbow in the first series.
And the backup.
Oh yeah,
Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson also got taken out, and Brock Purdy actually had to come back in and just hand off the ball every time. He is one of the reasons why you now have 3 quarterbacks on a team, mostly as a standard throughout the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brock Purdy is very good, especially for how young in his career he is. I see him doing great things in his career. I'd be very surprised if he does not have more than one Super Bowl championship in his career, whether that's with the 49ers or not. I think he's got a long career ahead of him. I think he's got the most potential out of anybody in the NFL at this point.
Okay, so I mean, Brock Purdy, easily the greatest value pick in the draft of all time. Maybe even ahead of Brady in the 6th round. But I mean, he's just been having an absolute great year, leading the entire league in quarterback rating, and it's really not even close. I think the closest guy to him was Dak Prescott with like a 106 rating. He had like a 113, and just a crazy touchdown rating. I mean, maybe a little bit worse than Dak, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But I know he's in the Kyle Shanahan system, and he's just produced these past 2 years. But part of me doesn't want to like put him in S tier. But then again, I don't think I could put him in the same tier with like Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. But
we might have to move some of them down.
I'm gonna put Brock Purdy at. Okay, anyone I put in S tier is gonna be above Brock Purdy. I'll put Brock Purdy in S tier. Okay,
So
I mean,
be the bottom of your S.
yeah,
Okay.
the very bottom of S. So yeah, Brock Purdy is a solid quarterback, greatest value draft pick of all time. He'll definitely do something in his career. All right, on to Matthew Stafford.
Mr. Stat Padford.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford had a great career with the Lions, and he probably could have called it that and still been a very notable quarterback. However, coming to the Rams and winning the Super Bowl in his first year, I believe that does enter him in a Hall of Fame conversation, just a conversation. I'm not saying he's a surefire Hall of Famer, but last year he took a back step, and he was injured for a lot of the year, I'll give him that, but he did not produce the way that he did in the previous year, and this year he had a comeback. He played much better, made the playoffs again, and was probably the most dangerous wildcard team in most people's eyes before we saw what the Packers and the Texans were capable of. I think Matthew Stafford is a very serviceable quarterback. He's obviously getting up in there in age. He's 35 years old. He will probably be heading down the twilight years of his career. Throws a lot of interceptions, but, you know.
Oh, he doesn't.
This year he didn't, but historically he just doesn't care. He'll chuck it up. He's manly. So, Matthew Stafford, he's a good quarterback. I'm going to give him B tier, the very top of B tier, as high as you can get without being an A.
The first step.
Yeah. So, yeah, Matthew Stafford he's very good. And I think there's no debate that the Rams won that trade. I mean, they got a Super Bowl out of it, and it looks like they're back to being a contender again for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Matthew Stafford. It was really good to see. Of course, everyone wanted the Rams to win a couple of years ago, just so Odell and Stafford could get a ring. Stafford had a really good season. 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's pretty solid quarterback play. Towards the end of the year, I mean, I don't think Matthew Stafford was never in the MVP conversation, but he at the end of the season, he was truly up there with Dak and Purdy for, and Lamar for like dangerous quarterbacks that are on a streak right now that you probably don't want to mess with. I'm a fan of Matthew Stafford. My A tier is getting a little bit clogged up now, but I'm going to stick Stafford at at the top of A. I'm gonna stick him above Goff. Yeah, so Stafford is a solid quarterback, not quite at the S tier level though. Certified Hall of Famer though.
Would you agree that the Rams won that trade, or do you think the Lions did because now they're a contender after literally never being one?
I think that was a really equal trade, in my opinion. I think that was good. I don't think anyone really ran away with that trade. I think that was really beneficial for both the teams. But yeah, so moving on to Geno.
All right, what do I got to say about Geno Smith here? Geno Smith is it's an awesome story. He was obviously pretty much forgotten about. Nobody had ever even considered him to be a viable option at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And then last year he came in, he played lights out, made the playoffs, and nearly won a playoff game. Probably would have if he hadn't been going up against the Niners, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was the Niners.
Yeah, it was the Niners. A very serviceable quarterback. He definitely took a step back this year. A lot of bad games. Four game losing streak, longest in Pete Carroll's Seahawks history. Mm-hmm. And then he played pretty well this year. Aside from that 4-game stretch, played extremely well against the Cowboys. Although it was a loss, he played really, really well. A lot of people would like to say that he exposed our defense. Maybe. But Geno Smith, with all things considered, he definitely has earned the respect of me and a lot of people after being basically an irrelevant backup for so long, to be a viable starter and probably the guy that the Seahawks will rely on until he retires. So I'm going to give Geno Smith B tier. I'm going to give him B tier. My B tier is pretty crowded, but that's fine. I'll give him B tier.
I think Geno Smith is a solid quarterback. Definitely took a step back from last year. We wrote him off, but he didn't write back. And then he really didn't show up that much this year. But still a solid quarterback in the NFL. Good story. 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 92 passer rating. I'd say this year, pretty average. I would say he's probably like the 15th, 16th best quarterback in the entire league. I think he's solid. I think the Seahawks are probably going to stick with him for as long as he can. For as long as they can. I know he's getting pretty old, but I'm going to stick Geno Smith in B tier as well. I think that's a pretty fair seeding. Now on to the very last quarterback in the NFC West.
We still got to talk about Big Baker too.
Oh yeah, we got Midget Murray. I'm just kidding. I love Kyler Murray.
All right, Kyler Murray is he's a very interesting quarterback because it's just so seems that he plays really, really well every year until Call of Duty comes out. he loves Call of Duty, but you got to keep your head in the game. Like you can't have like clauses in your contract that like make it so that you have to do X amount of I can't think of the word. I'm blanking. Preparation. And he actually has clauses in his contract where he's not allowed to play video games.
Really?
Yes, that's actually a thing. So, he's got focus issues, I suppose, but in terms of talent, he's very talented, especially on the ground. I mean, he runs like an angry toddler.
He does.
But, he's shown himself to be great. He, a couple years ago, he led the Cardinals to a 9-0 start and then had a very bad collapse, similar to the Philadelphia Eagles of this year and the Steelers of 2020. But I think Kyler Murray has the talent to get it done. I think he has the talent to be I don't think he'll ever be considered to be elite, but he will be probably a viable starter in this league for many years to come. I like the guy. I think he's very serviceable. He's gonna go in C tier for me, but the very top C tier. He'll be a viable starter, but he's not going to be anybody's first choice. But he's too good to be a backup, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Kyler Murray. I think I feel like he's Bryce Young, but if Bryce Young was a lot better, and if Bryce Young immediately started doing work when he entered the league.
Probably look a lot like Kyler Murray.
Yeah. I mean, Kyler Murray was also a first overall pick, an undersized quarterback. I think he is what everyone thought Bryce Young was going to be. He of course he didn't play much this year. He was sitting behind Josh Dobbs because he was injured. Pretty solid season. I mean, in those couple games he did have 90 quarterback rating, 10-5 touchdown interception ratio, a couple rushing touchdowns too. I think Kyler Murray is I think the Cardinals should definitely stick with Kyler Murray. Watch over his shoulder, make sure he doesn't get too carried away with Call of Duty. And I like Kyler Murray. I'm gonna stick Kyler Murray. I'm gonna stick Kyler Murray at the top of C tier. I don't think I could put him up in B.
He has to watch a certain amount of tape before he play Call of Duty.
Okay.
I couldn't think of the word tape and stuff.
And then the very last quarterback in the NFC, I don't know. We included Trevor Lawrence in there because why not? Is Baker Mayfield.
Okay, so my opinion on Baker Mayfield is different than a lot of people. I actually give him a lot more credit than a lot of people normally would. And that's because Baker Mayfield, when he's been healthy, has pretty much been very good his whole career. Remember, in the 2021 season, the one that caused the Browns to let go of him, he had a shoulder injury from week 1 till week 17. He was not ready to play, if you ask me. And you know what? The next year when he came to Carolina, I think he had a similar problem to what Bryce Young is having now. It's not a very good team. It's not a very quarterback-friendly system. But then he goes to the Rams and he leads the 16-3 comeback against the Raiders. Yeah, it was the Raiders. I want to say it was the Raiders. And he leads
on
them.
Christmas?
No, that was the Broncos that he blew him out and they fired Nathaniel Hackett. But in his first game with the Rams, the Raiders were up 16-3 with like 5 minutes left, and Baker Mayfield he led that team to victory, and that pretty much ended the Raiders season last year. And then on Christmas, they beat the Broncos like 50-15. So, and then we talk about this year. Baker Mayfield, he made the playoffs, won the division. I know winning the NFC South is a little bit less impressive than winning any other division in the NFL, but, to win your division in your first year with a team after everyone pretty much gave up on you, and then to go on and win a playoff game by double digits, that's impressive, and Baker was the reason they won that game. So I think Baker Mayfield is going to go up with Dak in A-tier, the first A-tier quarterback since Dak. I think Baker Mayfield is the real deal. He's been good whenever he's been healthy.
I was really hoping in my head that Tommy would put Baker Mayfield in A-tier because I completely agree. Baker Mayfield is just a phenomenal quarterback, in my opinion. I really think the Browns were a bunch of idiots when they gave up on him. He had a shoulder injury. You play him through shoulder injury. He plays like crap. You get upset. The fans turn on him, and they kick him out. And then he goes to Tampa healthy, proceeds to go off for 28 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions and over 4,000 yards and leads them to a division title. Granted, it is the NFC South, but I feel the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really did deserve that. Call him the second coming of Brady, bro, because he won the division with a better record. No one thought anyone could replace Brady this year, and I think Baker Mayfield came awfully darn close in his performances doing that.
Not only did they finish with a better record and still win the division, Brady last year did not win a playoff game with this pretty much the same Bucs team, same coach, same key factors. I know they lost Julio Jones, but they're basically very similar, almost the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady, they lost in the wild card round to the Cowboys. And this year, they beat the Eagles in the wild card round. That's something that Tom Brady didn't do last year. I mean, I'm the biggest Tom Brady stan you'll probably ever meet.
I'm looking at a Tom Brady bobblehead on Tommy's table right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm a big Tom Brady fan, but I gotta say, Baker Mayfield, he has done better with this team than Tom Brady did last year.
I agree. I'm gonna give an absolute scorching take, bro. I think I'm putting Baker Mayfield in the S tier. I said no one was going to go below Purdy, but I'm going to stick Baker Mayfield below Purdy in the S tier. And I'm actually going to pause the recording because I have to go to the bathroom. But yeah, that wraps up the NFC. And next we're going to move on to the AFC.
All right, time to get on to the AFC. We're going to start off with the AFC North, and we're going to go with Joe Burrow. Remember, we're going off of starting quarterbacks, so even though Jake Browning played most of the year, we're still talking about Joe Burrow here. So, for me, Joe Burrow is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He is certainly, in that top conversation in the AFC. He, in his first year as a starter, aside from his year with the ACL, he took his team to the Super Bowl and realistically should have won. So that is you could not start your career in any better way. He won his first two matchups against Mahomes, and
Mahomes kryptonite.
Yeah, although Mahomes did edge him out in the AFC Championship last year. The two previous matchups, he was outplayed and outclassed by Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe Burrow is going to have a great career. Now, I have to address the injuries. Joe Burrow has had already a couple season-end injuries, and he is a 4-year starter, maybe even 3. Is it 3 or 4? I want to say it's 4.
I would say 4 too. It's 4th year.
Yeah, and 2 out of those 4 seasons, he only got to play for a couple games and then suffered not a career-ending injury, a season-ending injury. But the 2 years that he was a starter, took his team to the AFC Championship and to the Super Bowl, and realistically should have won the Super Bowl that year. But aside from that, Joe Burrow needs to stay healthy in order to have a career at all. So I'm not going to hold his injuries against him too much because he has just been so, he's very calm and collected. He does not panic. And that is huge, especially, I'm a Cowboys fan. I have to deal with a team that cannot handle pressure. This man can handle pressure. And for that, he is going to be the second quarterback to go up in the S tier, and he is going to be above Brock Purdy for me. But he is definitely deserving of S tier. There's very few quarterbacks that are going to be above him, and a lot of people below him. He is the best quarterback in his division, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in the conference.
That's a pretty hard take for Lamar being in his division, but I agree he is one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League as a whole. And yeah, I agree with Tommy. Issues have been an injury for him. Injuries have been an issue for him, but I absolutely respect Joe Burrow. And at some points, I really didn't like him as a Bills fan, because he marched into Orchard Park last year and beat us in the divisional. But, he had a pretty good season before he went down. 15 touchdowns through, all the games he played. And
really rough start, too, so you got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, rough.
It was like that with going 0-3 and
yeah.
I think 6 interceptions first.
Yeah. And part of me, these injuries don't even really make me think that this is really even Burrow's fault. Because, they had a terrible offensive line his rookie year. He got that season ending, what was that, some knee injury. He could barely stand. You'd see him in PT, physical therapy, just absolutely struggling. And then they just played him through injury this year. They knew exactly what was going on. They had his wrist in his wrist in a cast, little like brace when he was getting off the bus. He goes out and plays and absolutely re-injures it. Can't even complete an arm throwing motion on the sideline. And then as soon as he got injured, the social media team of the Bengals goes back and deletes the videos of him walking off the bus with that wrist brace on or whatever. So part of me thinks these injuries are really just on the Bengals like organization as a whole. And I really think Joe Burrow is a really good quarterback. And the AFC is just going to be crazy for a long time, man, with Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and hopefully we see, Justin Herbert in the mix more. But yeah, I think he's a really good quarterback. And I'm going to stick Joe Shiesty in S tier. I will stick him in the top of S tier. He's definitely better than Baker Mayfield and Brock Purdy. So yeah, moving on to Lamar Jackson.
Okay, Lamar Jackson is one of the worst playoff quarterbacks in NFL history, but he has a small sample size. And if he's going to prove himself to get past that narrative, this year is going to be the year to do it. He's got the best team he's ever had, and he's also been the healthiest he's ever been. He is arguably the greatest rushing quarterback in NFL history, and he's not a terrible passer either. I know there's a narrative that he is. He isn't. I don't know where it came from. He's a good passer and a great runner. He's one of the top MVP candidates this year. He is more than likely going to be the MVP. He's, of course, between him, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak. And I do think that he is the favorite there. You can make an argument for Christian McCaffrey, although it's been so long since the skill position player won MVP. Adrian Peterson did it in 2008. But it hasn't been done since. And I feel like Dak, he didn't play very well against Buffalo or Miami. And I feel like that set him back in the MVP conversation. He's very much still in it. He very well could win it. They are regular season awards, so what happened in Green Bay wouldn't be taken into account. But Lamar is going to be your MVP this year, more likely than not. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And it also wouldn't surprise me much to see him in the Super Bowl this year, as long as he can get past the Texans and whoever he ends up facing in the the AFC Championship, whether that be the Green Bay Packers. Sorry.
It'd be in the AFC Championship?
Yeah, who would he be playing?
The Bills or the Chiefs?
It would be the Bills or the Chiefs. Yeah, if he's able to beat the Bills or the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, then he's going to the Super Bowl. And I don't see that as a very ridiculous thing to say at all. Lamar is going to get an S tier from me. He's played really well this year. He's already has an MVP under his belt, and all he really needs to do is win some playoff games. Once he does that, what else does he have to prove to you?
Yeah, I would also say Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback in the NFL. I sound like Donald Trump out here. I think Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback.
I think Joe Flacco is actually a very elite quarterback. Won a Super Bowl. He did it really to a certain extent with that great arm of his.
People in the media or just on the internet are like, oh, he's a running back. Well, explain 24 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions with a quarterback rating of like 102.7. Like, let's get real, people. He's a lot more than a running back. And on top of those stats I just described, solid quarterback season all around. And that's not even looking at the almost 1,000 yards rushing he had. Okay.
If you only watched SportsCenter, you would not know that Lamar Jackson was as good as he was, too.
Exactly. No one talks about Lamar Jackson for some reason. Like, he is a top 5 quarterback in the league without a doubt, and he will win MVP this year. I don't know about his playoff chances, though, because last time Buffalo marched into Baltimore in the playoffs, Bills ended up going to the AFC Championship. That's all I'm going to say, and we beat them. But Lamar, highly elite quarterback, probably going to win MVP this year. For that reason, it would be absolutely criminal not to put him in S tier. I'm going to put him below Burrow.
Burrow is better.
Burrow is better.
Burrow is more clutch. He's got more playoff. He's proven himself in the playoffs.
That doesn't mean anything, though. Both of these quarterbacks are absolutely elite, though. And Lamar does need to prove himself a little bit more in the playoffs as well. But 2 MVPs. I don't know about his longevity, but so far it's looking like a crazy Hall of Fame campaign. So next we're moving on to the Browns.
We're going to go with Watson.
We'll talk about Flacco, but
Ye-
Watson is the starter.
Yeah, solid.
All right. Deshaun Watson is a bum. Okay, he, I'm not gonna get into his personal issues, but he's.
I will.
Sure, you can. I'm not. I'm not gonna touch on it. I mean, obviously, we all know what happened, but Deshaun Watson has been very bad. He's been terrible ever since going to the Browns. He was good in Houston, and then he got suspended, came back, and has not been the same since. He put up terrible numbers. He got injured a lot, season-ending shoulder injury this year, and then he had Joe Flacco come in this year and play 3 times better than he had even in Houston. I don't believe Deshaun Watson is the answer in Cleveland. They should have never paid him. They should have never gotten rid of Baker in favor of Watson. And it just doesn't make any sense to me why you would do that. Deshaun Watson has not been good for years, and I don't agree with any of the Browns' logic when they got rid of Baker to replace him. But that's just me. I don't think Deshaun Watson's very good. He's going in the D tier. A couple years ago, maybe he would have been B tier or even A tier. He is not there anymore. Not even close.
Yeah, so I completely agree. Groper Cleveland, I'm also going to stick him in D tier. Did not have a very remarkable season at all. I mean, how many games did he play? And then Flacco came in and immediately had through 4 or 5 weeks, Joe Flacco had the most passing touchdowns out of the Browns that entire season.
Treasure weeks where they had a DTR and they had a PJ Walker.
Yeah.
But aside from that, they both played better than him too.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to pay him this much money. You got to get something out. You at least got to get him on the field. But these injuries are getting ridiculous. They can't even play him because
The worst part is that Joe Flacco said he's gone on record saying he doesn't want to retire. He wants to keep playing. The Browns don't have enough money to get him for another year.
Deshaun Watson. I think he absolutely robbed the Cleveland Browns. 7 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 84.3 quarterback rating. I just don't think he's the solution for the Cleveland Browns. Absolutely was great in Houston. I don't think he's this. We have not seen Deshaun Watson as Deshaun Watson since, what was that, 2020? Yeah. And I think he's just not the guy in Cleveland. I think they should have stuck with my boy S tier Baker Mayfield. Yes, for that reason, I'm also putting Deshaun Watson in D tier. I mean, he's pretty good career in Houston. He's just too injury prone now, and I just don't think he's that guy. But if Flacco was on this list, I'd put Flacco in really high B tier.
And don't get us wrong, we live an hour away from Cleveland. We like the Browns, but we do not like Deshaun Watson.
No,
he's probably the worst thing that has happened to the Browns in the past.
Since Johnny Manziel.
Since they went 0-16.
Since they went 0-16. Yeah. And then we got Kenny Pickett next, the last quarterback in the AFC North.
Oh, Kenny Pickett. I swear. How did Kenny Pickett get in the NFL?
I don't know.
How did that happen? Kenny.
The first round is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I have a theory. We also live about an hour away from Pittsburgh, so we have a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans.
Tommy's doxing us.
So we have a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans in the area, and you know what? They wanted Kenny Pickett, and I'll tell you, they only wanted him because he played at Pitt. They didn't want him because he was good at football, and him not being good at football it's reflecting in the NFL. He has been terrible. Joe Flacco played 5 games this year. He had better career stats than Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's played 2 years. I don't know what else you want me to say. Kenny Pickett is terrible. He is actually one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. He will not be the starter in Pittsburgh next year, I believe. I believe they will be getting rid of him now.
At least starting Rudolph.
They're going to be probably getting rid of him now that they have Mason Rudolph, who has clearly taken a jump from where he used to be. Mm-hmm. And Mitch Trubisky will also likely be moving on, so they're going to be taking the next step with Mason Rudolph, and I believe that is the right choice. Kenny Pickett is not an NFL tier quarterback. I don't even think he's worthy of a backup role. I think he belongs in the UFL.
What tier are you putting him in?
Mac Jones.
You're putting him. Oh yeah. Mac Jones tier, above or below Bryce Young? Well, if you put him above Bryce Young.
No, I'm not putting him
Okay.
above Bryce Young.
All right. Kenny Pickett. Okay, so Kenny Pickett played 12 games this year. All right. He put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers, let me tell you. 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Ooh, averaging half a touchdown a game. Let me tell you, the Yinzers went absolutely crazy when this dude would throw for 200 yards and 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Oh, no, this is the game manager that Cam Newton was talking about, bro. Like, no, I wouldn't even classify him as a game manager, bro. He's trash, bro. This is one of the quarterbacks that go into my grouping of quarterbacks that I'm just a hater of, bro. Only reason he got drafted was because the Steelers and Pitt, the University of Pitt, practice in the same facility. So Mike Tomlin would just walk by and be like, okay, this guy can actually throw a football. I think he's our guy. And it's almost like Kenny Pickett was not a very good quarterback in college that played in a terrible conference. And he was the only quarterback taken in the first round. I would take... yeah. No, Kenny Pickett is not the guy. At the bare minimum, the Steelers are going to start Mason Rudolph. Okay. It's just he's not that guy. 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in 12 games. He's just absolute. I wouldn't even call him a game manager. I'd put him less than a game manager.
He's a game changer, just for the worst.
He's a game changer for the other team. And for that reason alone, Kenny Pickett, you're in Mac Jones tier. On to the AFC East.
All right, we're going to start the AFC East talking about Aaron Rodgers. I will briefly say if Zach Wilson was on this list, which he is not, we do not have him on here, he would be in the Mac Jones tier. Moving on.
The Aaron Rodgers stats.
Aaron Rodgers is going in S tier, okay? Aaron Rodgers is arguably the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. He is the cowboy killer. You know, I hate the guy as much as the next guy. He's not only a weirdo, but he also owns my franchise. But, you know, what he's been able to do, you know, he's got the Super Bowl ring, multiple conference championship appearances, although he seems to have trouble winning them. You know, he's got one of the best touchdown to interception ratios of all time, and he probably is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he might have 5 more years left in him. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but there's no denying that he is a top 3 quarterback of all time.
You're putting him in S tier?
I'm putting him in S tier at the top of S tier. And these are
The top of S tier?
yeah,
Above Burrow?
yeah. Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I guess we're going off career too. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we were doing just this season, then of course he would be in the Mac Jones tier because he didn't play. But you know, he's been in the league for 19 years, and he's been nothing but dominant. Of course, he probably should have won more rings, but you know, taking off my blue and silver tinted glasses, he should have won those NFC Championship games a lot of the time. It was his defense that sold a good amount of it. You know, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I will never like Aaron Rodgers, but there's no denying that he is a talented football player and one of the best to ever do it. And also, you know, you can tell, even in the game against the Cowboys this year in the wild card round, some of those passes Jordan Love was making, you could tell that was taught by Aaron Rodgers because it looks like Aaron Rodgers. So, congratulations, Green Bay. You got yourself another Hall of Famer. Please kill me.
Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers, crazy good career. If anyone says he's the GOAT, they're smoking dope. If you think that Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. But all time, Rodgers might be top 5 for me. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I don't like Ayahuasca Rodgers personally as a person. We could cut off his entire family. Smokes dope. I don't know.
Never said I liked him as a person.
Yeah. And if you want a summary of Aaron Rodgers' season this year, I'm currently looking at the NFL website, looking at like the passing category. I cannot find Aaron Rodgers, bro. It goes from Sean Clifford and Mike White to like Drake London, who threw a pass for 22 yards this year. He's not even on here, okay? And I'm sorry, Jets fans, but I don't think y'all really helped out the Bills this year get their 4th straight division title. Aaron Rodgers, good quarterback, solid career, certified Hall of Famer. I'm going to count this season a little more. I can't. I can't do that. That's just disrespectful. I'm gonna put Rodgers in S tier. I'm going to put him in the middle S tier. I don't know what he can do on the Jets. I don't know if he's washed. We really don't know anything about the current Aaron Rodgers status.
He wasn't that great last year. I will give you that.
That's true, but that's because he stole all the money and got rid of Devontae Adams. Is he Devontae Adams merchant?
Well,
we don't know.
He was good way before Devontae Adams.
That's true, but did he get bad and then Devontae Adams saved his career? We don't know. But anyway, he's S tier. Hall of Fame quarterback. Then moving on to...
We're going to talk about Mac Jones. This will be a fun one.
Oh, we're on Mac Jones?
I'm actually going to let you do this one first.
Okay. Mac Jones. There's a reason why we have the Mac Jones tier, people. Okay? Mac Jones, somehow, everyone's like, oh, Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl when he was a rookie. He was like the fourth alternate, bro. Josh Allen was a backup alternate and was like, no, I'm like, I should make the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to take a backup. And then Mac Jones strolls in. He's like, I would love to be in the Pro Bowl, guys. I love the Pro Bowl. And that was the best year of his career, okay? And he's only regressed and regressed and regressed. Like, Nick Saban, I can't believe Nick Saban convinced us that Mac Jones was an elite quarterback in college, okay? I know y'all remember the video of Mac Jones waddling on draft day as being shown on the image right now. Hopefully I remember to put that in there. 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 77 quarterback rating. The only thing I wish Mac Jones did this year was play when we went to the Patriots-Bills game on December 31st, because I would have loved him to throw 3 interceptions just like Zappy did, or 2. Anyway, Mac Jones is absolute dog garbage. Welcome to the UFL. You were the new starting quarterback of the San Antonio Brahmas, and you are at the very top of the Mac Jones tier above Kenny Pickett. Okay.
All right, like Luke said, we made the Mac Jones for a reason. He is the worst quarterback in the NFL, and the saddest part is that he actually had a really good rookie season. But you know what? He has done nothing but get worse every single year.
If he had a good rookie season, he would have won Rookie of the Year. And he didn't.
Yeah, but he's gotten downhill, down. He has not gotten any better. He's going to be in the Mac Jones tier at the very top of it. We made it because of him. You can't really do any worse than Mac Jones.
I hope he stays in the division forever.
Yeah, I agree. Mac Jones is really bad.
Mac Jones is Mac Jones, bro.
Yeah. That's it for Mac Jones. We're gonna move right into Tua Turndabolova. All right. I am not a huge Tua fan. I think Tua is a Tyreek Hill merchant. He was not good before Tyreek Hill, and when Tyreek Hill was hurt, he didn't do very well without him. Of course, he beat the Jets, but beating the Jets is nothing to be proud of. So Tua is going to go in the C tier for me. I think if you take away his receivers, he is not very good. He has a very weak arm. He's very accurate. I'll give him that. He is an accurate passer, but I've heard this before, and I fully agree. And this is in reference to Josh Allen. The Dolphins have a quarterback that can help you win a game, and the Bills have a quarterback that will win you a game. And I think that summarizes how Tua is perfectly. Tua is serviceable, and with Tyreek Hill, he can get some serious work done. But all these great stats that Tua had that had him in the MVP conversation or the Comeback Player of the Year conversation, those were all yards after catch by Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers in the NFL and one of the best receivers of all time. So any quarterback is going to be inflated when you have a receiver that good on your team. And Jalen Waddle's no one to sleep on either. And then he's also got the 2 running backs. So
Mustard and AJ Chan,
yeah. So I think Tua Turndabolova is a little bit of a fraud, to be honest with you. I don't hate the guy. I think he's actually one of the best human beings in football. But in terms of talent, it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And going back to Mac Jones, I hope this man stays in the division forever. He just absolutely chokes in big moments. Like, okay, fate of the universe on the line. The season is on the line, okay? It is 4th and whatever. I'm going to throw the ball to Chase Claypool, and he's not single covered. He's double covered, bro. And that's how I'm going to end my season. My like crazy good season I've had with Tyreek. Okay, I just want to say he's a Tyreek Hill merchant, okay? And I know people are going to say, like, oh, you're like a Josh Allen fan, blah, blah. He's a Diggs merchant. No, bro. Because Tua is not Superman, bro. The only thing he's got is throwing it to Tyreek and throwing it to Tyler Rapp to end the game, okay? Tua is not that guy, all right? Like, he's just a Tyreek merchant. I don't have much to say about Tua. He's a good guy. I mean, he did have a good season, though. 4,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. Tyreek Hill merchant, and I hope he stays in the division forever. I will put him at the very top of C, though. I mean, I really just did talk so much crap on him just to put him in C. You think I would have put him in Mac Jones, but he wasn't very good before Tyreek, and people are going to argue like, oh, well, Tyreek just helped him progress, and he's always going to be that good now. No.
He's also never won a game in the cold.
Yeah. I think we all know who Tua really is when it comes down to big games, and he's just not him. So,
as much as I hate to say it, he's the Dak Prescott of the AFC.
Chokes in big moments and looks good in the regular season.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
All right. We're on to Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 15 rushing touchdowns, real rushing touchdowns, not brotherly shoves.
There were 1 or 2.
29 touchdowns through the air, 18 interceptions. Listen, I cannot, in good faith, give someone who has led the interceptions since joining the NFL S tier. Now he has S tier talent. he has S tier talent, and he will win you games. He has been known to be clutch. He's above Dak.
He's above Dak. Okay.
Oh, definitely. Right. Damn, Josh is good in big moments. That's actually when he's best. But he's got the turnovers. He will give the ball away at inopportune times. And he's also part of the reason why the Bills tend to lose games that they shouldn't randomly throughout the year, like a couple years ago to the Jags, this year to the Broncos and to the Jets.
And the Jags.
And the Jags again, yes. Although the Jags, I think that was more jet lag than anything else. Josh Allen is probably the most talented quarterback in the NFL, and he's also he's a human wrecking ball, but he's got to control his turnovers. Now I'm not gonna give him credit where it's due. His turnovers are in an attempt to make game-breaking plays, and when it fails miserably. But when it doesn't, well, you got the 2021 divisional round game, which best game of all time, by the way, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. It's the Chiefs.
Yeah, and by the way, Josh Allen would have won that game if they won the coin toss.
Coin toss.
Yeah, and I do expect the Bills to beat on the Chiefs pretty badly. You can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it. Josh Allen has never played in front of Bills Mafia. They played there once during COVID with no audience, but they have never played in front of the Bills fans. I like the Bills. I like the Bills a lot, as a matter of fact. I don't have a problem with the Chiefs. I don't have a problem with Patrick Mahomes, but I think that Josh Allen is more talented and more of a superhuman than Patrick Mahomes is, and I expect the Bills to beat on the Chiefs pretty badly this Sunday. And I went way off topic. Here we go.
Yeah, so I'm a totally unbiased Bills fan. I just want to say that Jay Cutler walked so Josh Allen could sprint and run people over. Okay, this dude. Most touchdowns by a quarterback through his first 4 seasons in NFL history.
And leads the league in turnovers.
As I've told Tommy this before, you're Superman. You have the power to save the world. But, you got to let a couple, orphanages, burn down or something so you could stop, the laser beam coming from space that's going to kill everyone, okay? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, bro. And Josh Allen is the epitome of that. Absolute demon. He actually ran for 15 touchdowns to set an NFL record, unlike Jalen Hurts. Granted, there were a couple brotherly shoves. And going off on a tangent, Eagles fans, anyone's quarterback can get a touchdown like that at 1 yard line. I don't care that you have Jason Kelsey. Okay, cry a river. But, Josh Allen is the absolute guy. Strongest arm in the entire NFL. Will absolutely just run linebackers over and just doesn't care. Like, normally linebackers' eyes probably just like light up when they see a quarterback leave the pocket. I'm telling you, a linebacker's taking a step back, okay, and he's thinking, how can I wrap this dude's legs so he doesn't run me over? Okay. Josh Allen, absolute demon. 40.
Josh Allen's the only quarterback I've ever seen that will actually knock a receiver over just by throwing the ball at him.
Exactly, bro.
Baker Mayfield has done it too, but Josh Allen does it consistently.
Yeah, I'm sticking Josh Allen at the very top of S tier. If he goes and gets a bowl this year, certified Hall of Famer.
He will. 44 yards, Bass. No, he doesn't make it. Wide right.
He starts his Hall of Fame run truly now. I just think this year feels different for the Bills despite all these injuries.
You know who else it felt different for this year about?
Them boys.
Yeah.
This is for real though. I think Josh Allen is the guy, absolute superhuman. But when you're when you're Superman, you make a couple mistakes, and you let some terrible things happen. At the same time, you're Superman, bro. There's no one else like you in the world. That's why I think Josh Allen, I'm going at the very top of S tier. He is, when he plays well, he's the most dominant quarterback I think the league has ever seen in the history of the NFL when he plays a good game.
Really?
I will go that far, yes. Josh Allen's top S tier. Anyway, I'm done.
No bias there.
I never glazed. No, that's just a fact. Okay, moving on to the AFC South.
All right, AFC South.
Trevor.
We're gonna skip Trevor because we already reviewed him in the NFC by mistake. We're new to this. It's bound to happen.
Oh, I know Josh Allen.
All right, we're gonna talk about Will Levis. How do we feel about Will Levis? I personally think Will Levis. Will Levis was actually my pick to be first overall. I was that dumb. Okay, I mean, to be fair, he had a good year. I mean, when he played, he did not get the starting job on the rip like C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young did. But he had a good year, one of the best breakout games for a rookie ever. I mean, he had, I believe, 4 touchdowns it was? 4 touchdowns in his first game with the Titans.
Oh, yeah, he balled in his first game.
Yeah, he had one of the, and no turnovers either. No, he had a great debut. And then he had a couple good games, a couple bad games, but in general for a rookie, for a rookie, he did really, really well. I'm going to put him in C tier because he has been unproven, and he has had one standout game that might earn himself a B, but I'm gonna put him below Daniel Jones, but higher than Jalen Hurts, and we'll leave him there. I think.
Yeah, I agree. The Titans are not the smartest group. Yeah, they got rid of Mike Vrabel. I mean, that was probably the only thing that gave you a single win in the entire season. But I really think that Will Levis is that guy. I mean, there's just been a revolving door of quarterbacks throughout Tennessee the last couple of years. Malik Willis, now Will Levis, and then Tannehill. It was just weird the past couple of years with that quarterback situation. But I really think Will Levis is the guy in Tennessee. And I think he could really produce for them. He's just an absolute. He's also just like a mini Josh Allen that's just powered off 4 Loko. This dude's out here throwing interceptions and then immediately running up to the dude, forcing the fumble and then picking it back up. And you saw what he was like when he had that breakout game against that 4 touchdown game against.
I don't remember who it was against.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't either. But I mean, we've seen what he's capable of, and I really think Will Levis can be a really good quarterback in this league. And I think he's the guy for the Titans. And for that reason, I'm going to stick him the very edge of B. I mean, that's a little goofy seeing me put Will Levis over Tua, but
Tua's overrated, though. So.
I think Tua's overrated, too. All right. Moving on to...
Let's do AR-15.
AR-15. Okay.
All right. Anthony Richardson, the second coming of Cam Newton. Anthony Richardson, he looked really good in his first couple games, and then he got hurt, and then he looked good again, and then he got hurt, and then he looked good again, and then he got hurt, and then stayed hurt. And that's the problem that I think Anthony Richardson's going to have, and it was a very similar thing to Cam Newton. Cam Newton had a very short career, and
That short.
it was pretty short. I mean,
Got pretty mid at the end.
well, I mean the career of him being good.
Yeah.
So, Anthony Richardson, he underwent a season-ending shoulder injury that is hopefully going to help him save the remainder of his career. And I think that if he can stay healthy, he is going to be the end of the QB carousel that has been spiraling around Indianapolis since Andrew Luck retired. And for that reason, I'm going to give him the very top of C tier. He was very good this year when he played, but he did not play a lot because he just continued to get hurt. And being injury prone is a problem because if you can't play, you can't win. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Anthony Richardson. I'm just gonna say Anthony Richardson should be a huge fan of Josh Allen because I guess recruiters, scouts took one look at Anthony Richardson and just saw, he wasn't even that good in college. He played for Florida, and he threw interceptions in college, and he came out and he threw interceptions in the NFL. But dude is also like physically gifted, like he's a beast, and I really get like a Josh Allen type of like vibe from him with how his first season went, despite the very small amount we got to see of him, and I think he could be the guy with the Colts, and I think that with if Trevor Lawrence doesn't keep improving, I think they could really win the division. But then again there is C.J. Stroud, but I think they could definitely be competitive and possibly get a wild card spot with Anthony Richardson, and I think he's a pretty good career ahead of him. And I'm gonna stick him in C tier. I'm gonna stick him below Tua. I don't hate Tua that much, and we did only get to see a little bit of AR-15, but I think he could do work for them.
All right, now we're this is a really hard question for me to ask. Is it crazy to put a rookie quarterback in S tier?
I mean, if he's like the greatest rookie quarterback to ever exist, possibly, yes.
I'd say he is.
He definitely is. Actually.
Yeah, I'm going to put him in S tier. I'm going to put him below Lamar. Holy wow. C.J. Stroud, who saw this coming? He wasn't even projected to go first overall for a lot of people, and he didn't end up going first overall.
Should have.
He definitely should have. He should have been first overall, and there's no debate. Anyone who says otherwise is, well, Cam Newton might say it to stir the pot. But no one who's actually serious would say otherwise. C.J. Stroud what he has done for Houston is unprecedented. I mean, won the division in his first year as a starter, beat the ever-living hell out of the Browns in a very good defense, the best in the NFL.
They said They said Flacco was elite.
I mean, he didn't look very elite on Saturday.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, C.J. Stroud is. I call him the assassin. I think that name will. I think that name will stick. I've heard it a couple times, but he is going to be. He's also not only is he a demon himself, but he has elevated receivers that you have never heard of before.
I mean, like,
who is Nico Collins? Now you know who Nico Collins is.
I mean, like, I'm an NFL fan, but I knew, like, nobody off the Texans. Who cared about the Texans, bro, before this year? No one, unless you're from, like, Texas.
Well, even if you're, like, Texas is all Cowboys fans except for a little area, like, maybe, like, a 100-mile radius around Houston. And this is just averages. Of course, they're everywhere, like, sputtered around.
I don't think they're everywhere.
But, I mean, around Texas.
Yeah.
Like, the Texans are probably the least popular team in the NFL, and they're also the youngest team in the NFL. Like, as in, they've only been around since 2002.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's career is older than the Texans. But C.J. Stroud is going to elevate that team to be a Super Bowl contender within years, if not this year. He is S tier. He is one of those guys. He is one of those guys in the NFL that is going to be a problem for other AFC teams probably for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. C.J. Stroud is him.
Yeah, I'm sticking C.J. Stroud in S tier, bro. Like, he should have been first overall. I wasn't. I know hindsight's always 20/20, but I really do think Stroud should have gone first overall. And everyone was so down on him because he got like a 12% on his Wonderlic test, and
He
it
also
came
did
out
terrible in the preseason.
Yeah, he was like, I don't take tests, I play football. And like, this stat line is crazy for like anyone. This touchdown to interception ratio, 23 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, bro. Like, what?
You look here. You look up and down the list.
Yeah.
And you see anybody who's in the single digits. Either A, they didn't play the whole year, or B, they're Dak Prescott.
Exactly. And he had like a 101 quarterback rating, set rookie quarterback records, and this might be like the first good Ohio State quarterback in the NFL, like the world has ever seen. And
And he's not just a good quarterback; he's a great one.
Yeah, and he's the youngest quarterback to ever win a playoff game, right behind like Michael Vick. So like that's a pretty big deal. Dude, why couldn't C.J. Stroud have been drafting by like an NFC team? Because this is gonna be the AFC is just absolutely heating up, absolute heaters, bro.
Yeah, he can stay out.
Joe Burrow,
he can stay out of the NFC.
Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, Justin Herbert. Like it's getting out of hand in the AFC now. Like we got to start donating players to the NFC, and I nominate C.J. Stroud first. C.J. Stroud, absolute demon, huge fan.
Yeah, I got to deal with Brock Purdy and Jordan Love. So.
Single-handedly turned the entire Texans franchise around with like who would help with him? Will Anderson and Tank Dell. Like bro is an absolute demon. So he's going in my S tier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you know he also got Dalton Schultz and Noah Brown from the Cowboys.
That's true.
And Noah Brown was not very good on the Cowboys. Dalton Schultz was okay.
Dalton Schultz was him.
Yeah, but he's elevated Noah Brown into like an actual good NFL receiver.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
He makes, not only is he great, he makes the players around him great.
Mm-hmm. Definitely S tier.
Mm-hmm.
S plus tier in a couple of years. And then moving on to our last division, AFC West. I doubt anyone listened this long, but if you listen this long, you're either A, asleep right now, or you're just at work playing mindless noise in the background. But here we go to the AFC West.
Aiden O'Connell. We got Jimmy G on the screen, but it's Aiden O'Connell.
We're starting with Alexia something Cortez, the politician.
What the hell are you talking
No,
about?
it's just Aiden O'Connell. Tommy wrote down on the paper AOC, and I got confused.
Yeah, okay.
Alicia Ocasio-Cortez, that's what it is.
Aiden O'Connell was one of the best preseason quarterbacks in NFL history. Yeah, that's what I'm getting into right now. It didn't really end up meaning anything. Of course, he had a really good game against the Chargers that ended up ending Brandon Staley's tenure as the Chargers head coach. So he probably was actually a favor that they did for them. 63 points, highest in Raider franchise history. But I'll tell you what, Aiden O'Connell, I am so uncertain about how I feel about his future. He could end up being really good, or he could just be another Derek Carr, where he's just going to be incredibly average for 10 years. I have no idea. So when you don't know, what do you do in high school when you don't know? You put him in C, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Very bottom of C tier. So I realize my C tier is not very organized. I have Derek Carr above Tua, and that's not accurate. Okay. Anyway, I like AOC. I mean, he still has a lot to prove, but putting up 63 points in any game is worth noting. And he also played okay throughout the season. He had a couple very bad games. He had a couple good ones, but not a very high sample size. He didn't play the whole year. Jimmy Garoppolo did start off the year, and he was absolutely terrible. The Shanahan system is very real. So we're going to leave it at that. He is at C, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, just like Deshaun Watson, stole a whole lot of money and just walked away to the bank. Jimmy Garoppolo to me is like Brock Purdy, but like Brock Purdy if he was bad, like really bad. Like I think
Nice take, genius.
that's that Super Bowl. I don't know how Jimmy Garoppolo took them. He took them to the NFC Championship
And the Super Bowl.
and the Super Bowl
In
in separate years. I mean, of course if he took them to the Super Bowl, of course he took them to the NFC Championship. But that just proves to you like the Kyle Shanahan system and just the amount of tools they have there. Like I know they didn't have McCaffrey yet when he went to that Super Bowl, but still they yeah, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is good. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I believe in this. I'm gonna put Jimmy Garoppolo in F tier.
You didn't even mention AOC.
Oh yeah, I mean Aiden O'Connell, he's gonna be a career backup. He's just an in-between quarterback for the Raiders. I think the Raiders are probably gonna go out and draft a quarterback. I mean, this is a pretty like loaded quarterback draft.
You don't
To
think
be
they're
honest,
gonna keep him?
I think they're gonna keep Aiden O'Connell, but I think he's just gonna be a backup for the rest of his career, like Kenny Pickett is at this point.
I think he's better than you're giving him credit for.
Yeah, I mean, I think I watched like one Raiders game this year and then just like watched some highlights throughout the internet.
That's fair.
But-
They haven't been very exciting.
Tell you a lot more about Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, next.
All right, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he's the second best quarterback of all time, and I definitely lost a lot of respect for him after his handling of a down year, quote unquote, because it was still a great year in comparison to everyone else. But for Mahomes' standard, it wasn't his greatest year, 11-6, and losing to multiple division rivals. He could have done a lot better, and it is not entirely his fault. He had a lot of dropped passes by his receivers. I am looking at you, Kadarius Toney. Travis Kelce, he had a down year. He did. It's still an excellent year for him. Still an excellent year for tight ends as a whole. Excuse me, but for his standard, it wasn't anything special. And of course, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs is something that you should never write off. But he's had an astounding career. He has won the division every single year that he's been there.
Ninth year, Kansas City.
Eighth year, ninth year, eighth year.
Yeah.
He's never played a road playoff game until this Sunday. He has been in the AFC Championship every single year that he has been a starter. He has 2 Super Bowl rings. He has been to 3 Super Bowls. This kind of success has only been ever seen once before. And for my brother's sake, I hope that he kind of slows down, because damn.
Yeah, I just want to say as a Bills fan, I'm getting really tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
2020. That wasn't really a heartbreaker in the AFC Championship. He beat us by like 2 possessions. That divisional game, I still remember that pain vividly, bro. I see highlights of that on like TikTok and on my TV, and
It's on TV today.
a genuine, I'm not even joking, like a genuine tear rolls down my face. It's like actual PTSD. With that being said, I think Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, despite the down year he had this year, and even his down year last year where he won a Super Bowl and he won Super Bowl MVP.
Mm-hmm.
That was a down year for him statistically, but yeah, no, I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely S tier. He's definitely that guy. Of course, Josh Allen's gonna be above him in the S tier, of course, because by the time this video is uploaded, that Chiefs Bills game is gonna happen. So this I'm gonna look real goofy about Josh Allen don't beat the Chiefs. Hopefully, I'll edit something funny in here that says that they beat the Chiefs.
Will 44 yards pass. No, he doesn't make it. Wide right.
Or it's just gonna be an image of me crying. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes, he's already a Hall. If he retired right now with his stats and what he's done for the Chiefs,
he's a first ballot.
he could retire right now. He could pull Andrew Luck and be a first ballot Hall of Famer right now.
Yeah.
He's a little wah crybaby though. That Bills Chiefs game this year made me smile, bro. Kadarius Toney offsides. We need a statue of that man in Buffalo. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Patrick Mahomes. Great quarterback, but there are no buts. I'm tired of him. Tired of seeing him and Taylor Swift and Kelsey. All right. Moving on to, we'll go to Russ. What?
Russell Wilson, I don't think anybody's been treated less fairly than Russell Wilson, because he got benched at the end of this year because Sean Payton wanted to keep him healthy so that he could get more trade value out of him or to prevent him from getting a bonus. But I'll tell you what, Russell Wilson redeemed himself for what he did last year. Last year, Russell Wilson was terrible, to say the least. And I don't put any blame on him for that. He was dealing with Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach, the worst head coach in the history of the NFL, a guy who should have never even been there, a guy who was carried by Aaron Rodgers his entire career, a guy who really doesn't belong there. And then you put Sean Payton in the system, and Russell Wilson starts to play good again. Now, it took them a while to get going, and, they're in the AFC West. That's Patrick Mahomes' division. But they did beat the Chiefs this year, and they hadn't done that since 2015. So I think Russ had a great year this year. He's had an outstanding career. He's going in A tier. I don't think there's anything that you could say to make me think that he's not going in A tier, although I am going to put Dak ahead of him because Dak has beaten him in the playoffs, one of the only two people he's ever beaten in the playoffs, that and Tom Brady. But Russell Wilson was really good this year. He's had a great career, and I think last year was a huge outlier. That was all Nathaniel Hackett's fault.
Yeah, I'm a big Russell Wilson fan, and I think Dan Orlovsky said it best. He was saying Russell Wilson is a top 10 quarterback one night on Get Up, and he was the 10th best quarterback in the league at that point. I think that was about week 13, and no one wanted to agree with him, and I completely agreed with him. Russell Wilson has had a great career, and they're just not using him right in Denver. I mean, last year was just absolutely atrocious with Nathaniel Hackett. I don't think that was him. I don't think Russell Wilson is washed yet. I think he's got a good amount of years left in him for a quarterback at his age.
He's only 34.
Yeah, he's only it's not that old for a quarterback. And they just did him so dirty, bro. They just didn't play him because they didn't want to give him $1 million bonus. So we're going to start Jared Stidham, and we're going to choke our playoff chances away.
Yeah, I mean, to make it feel better, they did end up winning the game and getting eliminated anyway.
That's true.
So it didn't really matter, but still, the morality of the situation was god-awful.
Mm-hmm. They did start off slow. They started out 0-4.
They lost their first game to the Raiders, and then I want to say they lost another one and then won. So they 1-3.
But they started winning there, man. I remember they beat there was some streak they went on where they beat the Chiefs and the Bills.
They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills. They beat some other contenders, too.
They did. And Russell Wilson, pretty solid season. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's pretty Russell Wilson-y season right there. That looks like good old Russell Wilson. We want to chip. Russell Wilson, just based off the past couple years, I mean, Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer. I'm going to stick him in A tier. I don't think I can stick him in S tier with a good conscience.
You got so many S tier guys.
Yeah, I gotta fix up my S tier here. But yeah, Russell Wilson, Hall of Fame quarterback. I like Russell Wilson, and they are wasting him in Denver.
Yeah, if he ends up going somewhere else next year, I hope that it pans out better for him.
The Yinzers are gonna get him.
You think?
No.
Okay. Lastly, we got Justin Herbert. Now, hear me out. I'm putting Justin Herbert right next to Kirk Cousins because they're the same person. Justin Herbert is a great quarterback on a team that will never succeed, and has consistently not succeeded despite how great Justin Herbert has been. Justin Herbert has put up great numbers every year. He rarely gets hurt. He got hurt a little bit this year, missed a few games, but that's not normal. Justin Herbert has been very injury resistant throughout the first few years of his career. He's put up great numbers, and he just he's been in a system that fails to win. Whether you want to blame that on Brandon Staley or the surrounding team, I'm not sure. But Justin Herbert is on pace to have a very similar career to Kirk Cousins. And I think Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback. He is elite, if you ask me. Justin Herbert is also elite, but he will likely not win much if he stays with the Chargers. He's got to get out of there.
Yeah, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. Yeah, I mean, he I know he got a season-ending injury. I forget at what point. It was in the second half of the season. But I mean, when he was in, he did all he could with the Chargers, just so like the most talented defense that somehow sucked could just choke the game away for him. They have so much talent. Yeah, they have so much talent on the Chargers right now. They got Justin Herbert, played like an absolute demon when he did play. 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Yeah, they got Keenan Allen, dominant receiver. Mike Williams sadly went down with an ACL injury. The Chargers could have won the division, bro, if Brandon Staley wasn't there. I'm fully convinced. Austin.
The last 3 years, even with Chase being as good as they are.
Yeah, Austin Eckler, defensive side of the ball. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack still aging a little bit, but they're still good. Derwin James. Yeah, I mean, I like Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is just being underutilized. Only 25. He's got so much career left, and I think if he went somewhere else, he could have a really good career. Or maybe even Brandon Staley was like the only thing holding him back these last couple of years. And for that reason, I think Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback in the league. Absolutely no doubt. I'm going to stick Justin Herbert up in A tier. I'm going to put him over Goff. I would take Herbert over Goff.
Justin Herbert is a very good quarterback.
I agree. Justin Herbert is underutilized. What was his rookie year? He won Offensive Player of the Year. He won Offensive Player of the Year 1 year. Solid quarterback. Love Justin Herbert. So, yeah, we're gonna change our tier list up a little bit and come back because they need a little bit of cleaning up. I think Baker's kind of clogging up my S tier a little bit.
Yeah,
So.
I think putting Baker in S tier is a little bit too rambunctious.
All right, we'll redo this.
Okay, I ended up moving a couple things around. I did end up putting Justin Herbert and Kirk Cousins into the A tier. And then I also moved Will Levis. I did move Will Levis up to the B tier. And I also restructured my C tier a little bit to put Tua above Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And I didn't really touch it much else other than that. I did move Jared Goff above Geno Smith and Trevor Lawrence. And other than that, my list pretty much stayed the same. I didn't make too many adjustments. I did drop Aiden O'Connell or Jimmy Garoppolo. We're using one pitcher for them because they both started this year and we're basically the same person. I mean, Aiden O'Connell was better. Aiden O'Connell was a lot better, but he talked about Jimmy Garoppolo a lot more.
And in both of our lists, Ryan Tannehill is Will Levis because we talked about Will Levis.
Yeah, we just don't have a picture of him. So that's my list. I ended up changing a couple things. And Luke, did you change your list at all?
Yeah, I did. I did a couple changes to mine. Yeah, so I did a couple changes to my list. So obviously, I'm going to put Baker Mayfield out of the S tier. Okay, I'm going to move him into the A tier, and I'm going to position him basically the very bottom of A tier because I don't think I can put him above Stafford, Wilson, Herbert, Goff, and Cousins.
Went from S tier to bottom of A.
Yeah, I did, and I'm gonna move Dak up above Herbert. So yeah. And then other than that, I mean, I'm pretty happy with this list. I think my B tier has some solid picks. Yeah, actually, I think I'm gonna move Tua up. I'll move Tua to the bottom of B. He got a little bit of a promotion there. I know I was, talking about Tua a little bit being a hater, but I don't think I can consciously put him in B. And C, Anthony Richardson, didn't see much potential. Didn't see much, but has potential. Bryce Young. Fields, nope. Daniel Jones, nope. Groper, Cleveland, nope. And I think just Jimmy Garoppolo and Desmond Ridder just absolute garbage. And then Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett just chilling in the Mac Jones tier. So, yeah, I guess that's our tier list. I'm pretty happy with that. Do you want to say anything before we wrap this up, Tommy?
No, I think we covered all the bases. You know, made a lot of interesting takes, to say the least. You know, with Baker being as high as he is, Jalen being as low as he is. So, you know, I think everyone will get a good amount of entertainment out of this as long as they take the time to listen to it. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I say that was a pretty good first video. I don't think most people's first video are 2 hours long, but hopefully, like, I don't get like bored halfway through editing and just kind of like, you know, do crappy editing the second half. But I don't think I will.
Take your time.
Who knows? This might come out like around the Super Bowl. I don't know. It might depend how long we take to edit it. But I'm happy with that. I think our lists are pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, we have plenty of ideas for stuff to do next. So
yeah, we might be doing some fan base rankings next.
Oh, we might. I would enjoy that.
Yeah, I already made a tier list about this once, but we will be revisiting it.
So yeah, thank you for watching. If anyone even made it this far, and yeah, see you guys around. All right, so if you guys are watching this video, that definitely means that urinating tree and fuck. No, okay.
Look, I promise you, it's not herpes. Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm just making sure this is on this. It's not on the same track, but it doesn't matter. I can move it, can't I? Oh, I put another recording track over it, didn't I?